Welcome to Ignite. My name's Garrett, and I love fire. You can have a fire, a passion for God on the inside. Let me tell you a story about a man named Jonathan. He lived a life on fire for God because he ignited his faith into action. This story begins in 1 Samuel 14. God's people, the Israelites, were being attacked by an evil army called the Philistines. Well, King Saul and his son Jonathan were ready to defend their land. Almost. See, the king was nervous. He was hoping the Philistines would just go away. Maybe that he could pay them off. Anything so that they wouldn't have to fight. Prince Jonathan had a fire burning deep inside of him. A love for his country and a trust in God that was so deep that his faith became action. The story continues in 1 Samuel 14:6. Jonathan said to his young armor bearer, "Come, let's go over to the outpost of those uncircumcised fellows. Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf." Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. So Jonathan and his armor bearer literally rock climbed up the side of a cliff. The Philistines' biggest mistake was letting those two Israelites come over the edge. Verse 13 through 15 says, "One by one the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer followed and killed behind them. In that first attack, Jonathan and his armor bearer killed some 20 men in an area of about half an acre. Then panic struck the whole army, those in the camp and field, and those in the outposts, and raiding parties, and the ground shook. It was a panic sent by God. Jonathan knew God, and he knew that Israel was God's country. See, Jonathan wasn't trusting in his own ability, but he was trusting in his faith in God. But it still wasn't easy. He still had doubts. He still had questions. There's only two of us, and there's so many of them. What if we fall off the cliff? What if we're too loud and we get captured? Maybe I should just leave this all up to my dad. They could have waited, but did they? Did Jonathan let those doubts take over? No. He knew that God was for him. He knew that when he took action, that God was going to take action for all of Israel. When you know God, you can have confidence in his truth. Jonathan knew that God had only the best for him and his family. Jonathan knew that God didn't want Israel to be defeated by the Philistines, so he stood in that truth. A lot of things in my life I know are right or wrong because of what the Bible says. I know it's wrong to steal, so I won't steal because I know it's the wrong thing to do. In the same way, if I hear that there's a need and I can help out, I can give, I can be generous, then I'm going to do that because it's the right thing to do. When you know God and you know His Word, then you know the way to live out your life. So if something falls in line with what I read in the Bible, let's just go ahead and try it. If I see someone that's upset, I'll go over and talk to them, find out what their needs are, how I can help them. Of course I'm going to pray for them. I don't need a chapter and a verse to know that that's the right thing to do. See, God blesses our obedience. So we've heard all these stories today. What does it mean? Well, how many of you like fire? The best way for me to explain this is it's a lot like fire. So all of you understand, before you have a fire, you have a flicker. The flicker, it's just the beginning. These are the moments that you know what is right, but you end up living in doubt. You want to be fully committed to God, but then you end up playing the what if game. What if nobody likes me if I live for God? What if they really don't want me to help them? What if they don't let me pray for them? What if I want to go on that missions trip, but I can't raise the money? Let's be honest, we've all been there before. But that's not where we're going to stay. See, a flicker is not as cool as the actual fire. Why would you want a flicker when God could ignite your faith into action? Don't you want your faith to shine through who you are? Don't you want to hear God, obey Him, and take action right away? It's like you can see the world through Jesus' eyes. What He calls you to, you can do it, no matter what. Even through the insecurities, through the doubts, you can live your faith in a way that people can see. So just like Jonathan fighting the Philistines, you start taking action for God, and the world around you starts to change. You aren't a flame, you're a fire. A full-blown fire means you love God and you care for others before yourself. You want to live for God, fully ignited. Your life is the evidence of your faith, and people can see God through your actions. Don't let the what ifs get in the way. When in doubt, live it out. Ignite your faith into action.